So if you were to look back at your years in this, let me ask you, is there one thing, one gig, one show, one star, one performer, one thing that you say, yeah, that was really, really good?
Oh my gosh.
A show, something where everything just clicked and you thought, wow, we really did it this time.
Truthfully, standing on stage with those kids in Germany and winning $3,000, and but it was.
But it wasn't the money; it was winning.
It was a completely different thing than we'd ever done. And if you won 3 times in a row, you get to come home. You would get the traveling trophy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, we won. We got first. We got third. And as I said to the kids, I said, don't plan to leave here. That big, giant trophy is not going to go home and stay permanently in the United States. I don't think for a minute. But don't be disappointed either, because the run we've had here has been amazing. But
how long were you there for?
Well, this was 3 different events. It was 3 different years. And the first time we went, though, 3,000 people, like in a packed place, like Clues Hall to the max. And you start out, and there's 23 teams that dance. Then they cut 5. There's 18 teams that dance the second round. We danced 5 times. 5 times. Then they announced the winner, which was us. Then these people all leap to their feet. They're stomping and clapping and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they want you to do it again.
So did you do different dances for each
No.
of the heat? You had to do the same dance?
Same
okay.
4-minute. It was interesting to choreograph and interesting to do.
So let me ask you, what were the others like? Were they doing similar things, or was their whole style very different than yours?
There were people from Israel, people from Germany, people from, I'd need to go back and look at the program booklet, but those were like the top 3 contenders in
And
the
did you see anything different in what they were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. The styles were different.
Do many of your students go into dance, go into production, go into theatre and related arts?
There's a lot of ways, and as you know this, there's so many more ways today to make money with, dancing and the arts than there were when I was young. There was just really about 2 or 3 avenues, and that was it. Now the kids can do music videos. They can work at theme parks. There's cruise ships. That's a great way to make some money, and there's just so many avenues.
So what advice would you give? I mean, this is going out to a lot of parents that have got kids of all ages. What advice would you say? What would you say are the considerations for a parent who's listening to this program and thinking, I wonder if this is right for my child?
My own son started sitting in front of the TV calling ball games when he was reading the sports page at 4 and a half, memorizing all the scores. Then 6, he's doing the ball games. I looked at my husband and said, it sounds good. And my husband was like, it's scary accurate. And now that's what he does for a living, and I just feel like all my preparation with these young ladies and men who go into dance, it's easy for me. I look at them and I go, I know your child will work. I know your child will be successful. Won't starve. But I know as a parent, you're like afraid to death. There are ways to keep your dancing in your life at every school in the United States now, just about, and I would imagine Europe is probably every bit as savvy as we are. I would just tell the kids, pursue your passion.
So Lynn, the Rockettes.
It's a wonderful thing.
Tell me about that. The world-famous Rockettes.
I got all the way to the end. I only auditioned once.
Oh, okay.
I was 41 years old. I got all.
That was when you went to New York.
That was not one of my first visits I've been doing since I was. But I got all the way to the end, and I was in the final 15 that day, and they only hired 6. I was completely thrilled and happy
to be there.
Absolutely, and to get through cut after cut after cut. I kept calling Bill, going, I'm still in. And Bill was like, oh my goodness. I think when I worked at Beef and Boards for 10 years and loved that. And that's during that time when I decided I'm just going to go try, even though I'm very old to do this. But
what was the average age there of the girls that you were with?
Oh, well, I don't even know. I'm going to tell you, the 6 people they hired, they were all in their early 20s.
Yeah.
So they were all considerably younger by 20 years, but it was okay. I got all the way through and was standing with those people at the end, and I was fine. But I've had many kids who do it. I've got a young gal I just visited in New York who's on her 7th year.
Wow.
It's just an amazing job. For a little bit of time. You get insurance in America, which
which is a
It's
hell of a big
huge.
thing, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's great for that. And just to stand on the Radio City stage, that hall is phenomenal. I've been to an opening night party with one of my young ladies who was never tall enough to be a Rockette, but got to dance on the Radio City
So
stage.
how tall do you have to be? I mean, you're quite tall.
5'6".
5'6" is the
Yeah.
minimum height.
Yeah. So that's
Is there a
tallest
maximum
girl.
height, like
5'10".
Oh, okay. So they don't have any big, very tall, super
No.
tall women there.
No, because
Okay.
you figure 5'10", by the time you put a 2.5 or 3 inch character heel on her.
Oh yeah, you're 6'2".
That's right. That's plenty tall
6.
enough. Yeah.
6 foot. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the other thing, the advice I tell children. Try not to worry so much because I'm still figuring it out. You have to do things afraid.
That's right.
You have to really...
Keeps you on your edge. It's like being on stage, Lynn, you know. They say, oh, I'm so nervous. Actually, that's a good thing because it keeps you sharp.
It is a good thing. And
Gets the adrenaline running, gets your brain working very, very fast.
Yeah, that's another thing. Performing on stage live with your friends when things don't go well, when your prop falls apart on stage, or when your friend, does a triple turn and all of a sudden she's missing off the front of the stage and she runs on the side and joins us again. I mean,
and they're the memorable moments.
right,
that
your
people...
neighbor's bun lands on the ground and you're like, what do we do now? You know what I mean?
Now, running a business and a dance refinery, it's being there, it's the event, it's getting used to competing in a much bigger arena than just here. That's all part of it. But they live and die by this. And I remember how many times James was keyed up and Lauren and the others were so keyed up to this event. We're going to win this.
It's in those kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've tried to prepare them and say, I tell them all the time, do I like to win? Absolutely. I love to win and I love to be on top. But it's important to learn.
But you can't win all the time.
No,
and so
you cannot control
No.
what the human beings that are looking at you on that day, at that moment, decide about you in comparison to these other people.
That's right.
We feel the kids should be able to be involved with their kids at school, but then have this on the outside.
Yeah.
And we feel like we can do it. Beef and Boards, when I performed there, I learned that it's a professional dinner theater here. I've made many contacts. One of my very good friends is now right now on Broadway in Gentleman's Guide to Murder, one of the best shows. She's a big swing in that show. They put up the shows in 9 days.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
9 days.
How do you do that?
I was like, this is the best thing going, man. I mean, it was hard, don't get me wrong. I started...
And if the public knew all the stories behind the stories, they would be laughing where they shouldn't be laughing. They'd be crying where they shouldn't be crying. But that's, as I say, that's showbiz. That is showbiz.
Absolutely.
Ask you, how many shows a year do you do? Big shows a year?
2. That Nutcracker has become it's become the second monster to the spring recital. We can't take on anything else, I don't think, besides those 2 big productions. But we do a lot of local things anytime I'm asked to do. We did a flash mob a year ago down in Greenwood at a music festival.
Did you do it at the mall?
No, we did it at the big music festival, the Wham
So you
Fest.
just all arrived and then they started dancing?
There was a big grassy area and we started dancing and we had a local sponsor, by a restaurant and things. That was a lot of fun.
There's always someone, and it ends up on Facebook.
Absolutely.
And next thing you know, it's gone viral.
I know, trying to keep up with just the social media aspect of all of this has really become a challenge. It's quite fun. It can also be terrifying. I would love to write a book. And I'm going to say it on air just because you have been after me to do it, you and other people. And I've got a couple of really what I think are great ideas. I have no idea. I don't know how to get it done. But,
I can show you how to get it done.
Well,
the same thing I've done with 2 of my books and the same one with Martha. There is a technique that is in a busy world of how to do it.
So, I don't know. I would love to travel again with the kids. We haven't done that in a little bit. And every time we do those things, the things, the kids seeing the world, experiencing the world, and what dancing, how it brings you together, how it brings us together with those Chinese people on stage. And I met all the Communist Party leaders and all those, and it's different over there. Dancing is
You also met the Pope?
I got within like 250 feet of Pope John Paul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would consider that meeting. I thought you were talking about my most recent escapade to New York City when I tried to get to see Pope Francis. That didn't work out so well, but that's okay. And that trip to Rome came about because of dancing. Became because a family moved here from Wisconsin and their kids started dancing here, and that young man was one of my male dancers, and he had his whole life mapped out about how he was going to be a track coach, and had a girlfriend, and then got the call to the priesthood. And I said, okay. And then he was picked to study in Rome, and his first mass was that next morning in the Pope's private chapel in the Vatican with Pope John Paul. I mean, it just was amazing. I bought that gold rosary and had it blessed by Pope John Paul. That's my most prized possession.
Yeah, that's one powerful weapon you've got there. So, Lynn, one last comment to all those listening that wondering whether dance they should try it or not. What would you say to those people, those parents?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Absolutely
yes.
I would say yes too.
It's a great physical activity, if nothing else. And in the United States, I don't know if Europe faces all the problems we do with obesity, but we have...
Not quite as bad, but yes, if nothing else.
For the fitness and the fun that it brings to your life, and the travel in my life because of it, the people in my life because of it. That's one reason our kids are better students even in school, because they are forced to learn this. You've got to learn all this. You've got to learn 3 minutes of choreography. We've got this amount of time. It's got to be done and out there, because we don't make our kids be in here 40 hours a month. We work in smaller time increments and try to really teach the kids about how much you can really get done in a small amount of time.
But you see them progress as well. They come in at 3 or 4 years old, and you see them progress. And for those that are still there at 15 and 16 and 17 and 18, they're committed to it, and you see them develop. That's right.
That's another thing that you get from this is being a role model.
Yes, you do.
To other younger people. You just don't realize.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was Lynn Herrick of the Dance Refinery.
The official title is Executive Director.
Okay, Executive Director. We'll stay with that. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Would you like to say goodbye to all our listeners on Glow Time Radio?
I would love to say goodbye to them and tell them how much fun this has been, and I hope I get to hear it.
You will. We'll put it on my YouTube page.
Thank you again. And I hope to be interviewed another time after my book is done.
There you go. That's going to be your next challenge.
How about that?
I will give you my book, and you can look at it and see.
Signed, of course.
I'll sign it for you, and then maybe that can spur you on a little bit to write. This was part 2 of my interview with the founder of the Dance Refinery, Lynn Herrick. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Goodbye.